Hello there everyone and welcome to Corey Loses, where today we're going to be taking an early look at the upcoming version of Republic at War, which has been provided to me for some testing by Anakin, who is joining me on the stream here. So say hello to everyone, Anakin.
Hello, everyone, and happy Easter.
Oh yeah, it's a holiday.
Yes.
Alright, so I don't have to work today. Thank you for coming out to the stream, everyone, and I will see you later. No, so we're going to be taking a look at each of the factions and some of the changes that have been happening with this upcoming build. 1.3, are you calling it? Or
One 121 is it is.
All right, so this is version 1.2.1. So yeah, basically the plan I have is we'll just look at each of the factions for about 45 minutes in Galactic Conquest, because I do have to stream later tonight too, and I want to make sure I have a chance for dinner. But the videos are going to go up on the YouTube channel if you're not able to stick around for the whole time. On probably tomorrow and Friday, we'll put up the Republic first and the CIS second. So yeah. Is there any specific Galactic Conquest I should jump in, or should I go to Skirmish?
I don't think it does matter. We did a few changes in the Fall of the Jedi, but that only affects the Order 66.
Okay, so the Utapau mission and all that?
Yeah, but we don't get there anytime soon.
Probably not going to be a 45-minute thing to try that. So I guess we'll go to one of the smaller ones, then we can get a bit farther in. Say Triad of Evil, we'll put it on hard as the Republic.
Ooh.
So, okay, that sounded ominous. The Senate has declared that there is a triad of evil in the galaxy. Megiddo, Felucia, and Seleucami, I can never get that one, are important and highly secured CIS worlds. Your mission is to remove the CIS from these worlds and prevent them from further utilizing them in their schemes to control the galaxy. The Senate has allocated resources for this mission, but you have 60 days to complete the task. To make a successful attack on these planets, you need to make sure the supply lines from their neighbor planets are cut off by conquering them also. Okay, so we gotta get those 3 planets.
Yes, and we have 60 days.
Right, Mandalore looks sad and alone there, so I think I'm gonna put some stuff together to go to Mandalore first. So anything you want to focus on, or just bring up right now that kind of the major focus for the build?
Yeah, for the Republic, our main goal was to rebalance especially low-tier spaceships of the Republic. That was one of the most criticized things, and we got many feedbacks. What we basically did was we took the Venator and set that as a reference point because we thought that was, in comparison to the Confederation ships, was very well balanced, and then we put everything around the Venator and tried to rebalance that a bit.
Makes sense. Did you keep the Venator's SP MAT beam as powerful as it was, or is that changed at all?
No, we haven't touched that. We know it's still an issue that the ability is still active if you kill the hardpoint, but I don't think there's much we can do because that's something the game actually is broken at.
Maybe that use the super laser ability or something else?
Yes, that's a super laser ability. That's why you also got the trigger in command bar.
Did you ever consider moving that to something more like Piet's proton beam ability? Because right now a lot of the power from the ship does seem to come from that, and it makes it a bit difficult for the CIS as well. And that would probably resolve some of the bugs that come with that.
Yeah, maybe. Well, the main goal for this version was to get changes very small. So we try to focus on big feature changes in the upcoming versions, especially in 1.3. So this is just basically a service pack for the recent version, where we just try to fix everything that came up in the last year.
Have there been any of the future major changes that you've spoken about or thought about much that you'd want to share here, or is that just going to be kept under lock until you're on the release?
Well, there are a few things that maybe should be locked, but I think if the situation in the stream just allows it, I can put a little sneak peek of what we're planning, especially in the Conquest mode. There's a lot of things we want to try out that's not been done in any mod so far, and we're really looking forward to share some about them. So what we just see here, for example, is that we added the power to weapons ability to the acclimator.
Alright, these guys are dying a little bit. Munificents need to go down soon, but I wanted all the weapons down on this side of the station. But anyways, so you are... Well, you're the lead developer now. You actually joined after the mod had started. It used to be run by a guy named Xerox. So, do you want to talk a bit about how you got involved with the mod?
Yeah, actually I was... Well, it was easy in the first place. I just asked Xerox at the time where he was around actively, and I just asked him whether I could translate the mod into German. Maybe you can hear it, I come from Germany.
That was actually just coming up in the chat, so that helps too.
Yes. No. So I just wrote him a message through our forums at Imperial Assault. That time, that was just around, what was it, 2009 or so, 2009, don't know. And I got the reply that I could do that. We stayed in touch with each other, and well, things just evolved a bit more. I became a light coder, so to say, just adding new units, stuff. And then there was a phase where he disappeared, more or less, from the mod, and that was where I just took over and continued developing the mod.
So that would have been after the 1.0 release, or?
Yeah. Well, I got the full developer after the initial release, and then we planned to release version 1 to 2, and that was delayed by a huge amount of time because he didn't show up anymore. So we tried to discuss what are our plans in this situation. We decided to make a minor release that was release 1.1.15, where we just also did some balancing, some minor features, and then 1.2 we just continued what was originally planned. However, we didn't have all of the resources. Something like the models for the Deathwatch faction are still missing for today, so we have to look where we can find something as usual as this, so we can re-edit, because that's still a plan for the next updates, to have actually a Deathwatch faction somewhere included in the mod.
So when I originally spoke to Xerox like 10 years ago, he was typically a bit more focused on trying to keep the base game's overall style and balancing and all that, and then just sort of changing that style into the Clone War. So is that something that you've tried to maintain, or is that something that you're less concerned about and you have your own different ideas on where to take it?
We don't want to make Republic at War as much as a full-featured unit replacement mod where we put every possible imaginable unit into the mod. Something like from the comics also. There are units there that we don't think are necessary to put into a mod. That's something other mod creators do. We try to stick it to the basics of the Clone Wars, generally speaking. So we are also taking sources from the Clone Wars series, from the movies, of course, which are our main reference. But if it's feel reasonable, we also take other sources, just like the comics or so. However, and you are right with that. Xerox tried to keep the mod as simple as possible. But I think the whole modding community changed a bit. We see mods that have excellent gameplay features, which I think we all thought that were never be possible. So we tried also for Republic at War to go into that direction, add a bit more new gameplay features, especially what many people are interested in is story events or something. We get a lot of requests for a full-featured single-player campaign.
Which is, it's like a 5-minute job. I don't know why any of us haven't just thrown that out.
Actually, that's something I can reveal now. We have plans for that, so but as you said, you can't do that in just 5 minutes. So we try to build it one step per step. That's where we started with the fall of the Jedi conquest, and we try to build onto that and add more features until we finally get to a point where we have something similar or as good as a single player campaign.
It's something that started to show up a lot more in mods. Like there was a lot of the major mods that existed kind of in the original period for EAW would release with fairly basic features between, like, I think for us, for you, for Awakening the Rebellion, Phoenix Rising, all of which are still around.
Absolutely, yes.
It was, we all released in the same kind of period between 2010 and 2012 with that, yes. And then we came back in like 2017, 2018 with a lot more focus on some of the newer features that people, I guess, learned how to do when they stopped being 14-year-olds modding the game. But
yeah, but I think that's just the normal development of the community. So yeah, and what also can be said is that the modding teams are working much more closer together. Before that, it was like every team did something on their own. They never talked to each other, and we are here and streaming and talking about a mod you don't develop.
There was one question that just came up in the chat that I think we kind of touched on earlier about asking if there's any new units in this, and you were saying that this release is more just constructing a service release or balancing in that. So rather than adding, so other just to clarify, there's no other units that are being added for this release. That would be 1.3 if there were any.
Yes. Okay. So in this version there are absolutely new units. I can just tell you what the new features are in this version. For example, we added a Polish language, if anyone is interested in that, so you can all the messages and texts are in Polish language now. We have new unit names, so if you hover over a unit and the description pops up, you get a message of it says a unit name, and we did that for all the capital and mid-sized ships. What we also got many requests for was the ground battles. People told us that the population count so was way too small. They wanted to build much larger battles, or something of an epic style, and that's where we reworked every single land map, and we increased the population count of every map, so people can just do that.
So are the population cap changes there, is that based on increasing the overall cap or increasing the size of the companies?
No, it was just increasing the overall population of the map. So what I basically did was I opened every map in the editor and placed a different capture point there, which has higher or lower. What's the word? I don't know.
I think we can. Yeah, because I remember you bringing that up in the modding hub a few days ago, actually.
Yes.
Okay, let's see how my carracks do here. I was taking a look at just the testing notes you have there. Were the Hyena bombers in before? I can't remember if it was just the Trade Federation bombers or the Hyenas.
The Hyenas were originally just came exclusively with Admiral Trench.
Okay.
And we now changed that, so if you're at Tech 5 for CIS, you get them as a garrison unit for the larger ships.
Makes sense.
Yes.
Right, so that's why I didn't remember.
Yes. However, the Hyena bombers are very powerful, so we reduce the damage of the missile projectile a bit. So because it was possible to having 3 Hyena companies just wipe out an Venator in the field, that felt a bit off place.
Okay, so I think I'm gonna die here again. I'm not especially concerned about winning. I'm just moving units around to use them. Each battle I'm trying to win, but there's a reason we don't have a defense fleet at Kuwait right now.
Yes. So what really can help you is buying the additional grenadier.
I did buy the first one, but I don't have credits.
Yeah, that's rather small, of course. You need to have the tier 3 to get the higher capital chips.
Oh, that's actually another question I had. So, have there been any changes to the AI difficulty modifications? Because I think at all the levels there was a significant boost to their income, even at easy and normal, and that it kind of made it difficult for newer players. It could get a little bit overwhelming if you were getting attacked by the Lucrehawk. So has that changed at all, or is that something where you're hoping that the balance changes for the Republic's early game units will make that a bit more easily handled for them?
Maybe a bit of both. We tried to fix many things with the balancing we just did, but we also tried to make something like a block for the AA. So, for example, if you start a GC, and my mom calls, that's
Sure.
not good.
Alright, I'll just battle around for a minute if you need.
Yeah, no problem. Wait a moment.
Calculating trajectory.
Alright. Let's oh, we cannot.
Weird. So what was I talking about?
We were talking about AI and
Yes.
all that stuff.
Yeah, right. So if you start a new galactic conquest, we try to say that the AI is not allowed to, based on the difficulty for, let's say, 5 days or 15 days for the easier difficulty. That's something we tried, but other than that, we we tried to move the AI rework to the next version because our main AI developer is also not very active at the moment, and I honestly don't know as many details as I should know about the AI to do it's actually necessary.
Well, Bob would be very upset with me if I didn't take this opportunity to plug for everyone his fantastic AI guide on the Steam Workshop or the Steam community page or whatever it is.
Yes, I absolutely can recommend that, but I did not manage to find any time to read through it, and what's more important, to test if I can do it myself.
It's definitely a huge undertaking to need to redo the AI like that. But Bob likes having his stuff plugged everywhere. What can I say? He just likes the attention. So, what's by the landing zone? Oh, it looks like they started off without a landing zone down here, so that might be a map issue. But they are getting one over on this side.
Prepare to engage the enemy. You're not gonna like the outcome.
Yep, vanilla bug, where the civilians get stuck inside their own house.
Ready for battle, son. Just like it.
So what we're also planning is, for example, Kuwait is a vanilla map, and we try to make new maps for every planet that is in a mod. So we kind of want to replace all the contents that were originally made and produce our own.
Do you have a dedicated mapper on the team, or is that something that you'd be...
We have a currently we have a contributor. It's Radical Edward, and we try, or what I hope is that he wants to join us on a more frequent basis.
Or Kuwait?
At the moment, he's mapping for a new planet. Really looks awesome what he did there, and I think when we release this version, we can show what he's done for us.
Are there any planets that you kind of have as higher priority for what you'd like to get?
Yes,
unique maps first.
Yes. Also, that's based on the feedback we got. For example, Tatooine. People claim that the map is way too large. Battles are taking hours for just searching the last remaining battle droid that's running somewhere. Don't know. And we want to make that map at least a bit smaller, and trying to make it less open, so you don't have to look everywhere on maps, but it's more centered somewhere where the battle's going on.
Yeah, that's something that actually was a pretty widespread thing across every different mod earlier on, where it was just, I can make this map gigantic, so I'm going to do that. And then they'd be, you'd spend most of your time in ground battles looking for stuff, so it's something that we used to do, it's something that pretty much everyone used to do, and it's kind of shifted away from that more recently. So that's good to hear.
That originally was made by Xerix also.
Yeah.
I think he still has one of the best maps ever created for this game, but they just don't play right. They just look awesome, and that's where we need to tweak a little.
Yeah, Xerix was definitely... I think mapping was probably his strong. I think he had a background in level design somewhere or something. Or that's what he told me once, I'm pretty sure. So long ago.
I don't know anything about his personal features, so I can't tell.
I learned a lot about his personal interests when... Yeah. But anyway, oh, here come the bombers. So I think Kuwait is a lost cause for us here. I was sending my fleet back, so we'll just get out of this and head into the space reconquest of Kuwait with that Venator fleet.
Yes. But you're playing on hard, aren't you?
So
Tactical battle imminent.
I'm going to spend most of our next credits on economic structures. We've only got to last about 20 minutes before I can declare victory. And then no one will know whether I would have won or lost.
Intel says there could be as much as a full battalion of droids down there.
I have a feeling.
Tough job to dig them all out.
It's
We shall arrive shortly.
Okay, they don't have a structure, so they are going to come to us. And then they're going to die.
Reinforcements en route.
Sounds like a plan.
Cancelled.
So I'm starting to build some ground stuff on Coruscant as well. Is that something you've looked at at all, increasing some of the starting infrastructure on some of the GCs? 'Cause it seems like I have a barracks everywhere, but nowhere north. I'm assuming Rathana probably has something if I look... No, that's probably not in this GC because it's further south. But either way,
Reinforcements cancelled.
have you thought about
Yeah.
increasing starting infrastructure so it's a bit less of the early build-up, or is surviving that more the focus so that you have to sort of last with what you have and then build up from there?
I can't tell much about it because at this point we only know that we want to change something, but we don't really know what we want to change. So changing the infrastructure, the starting infrastructure, is really something we're looking forward to do. We have some ideas of creating it dynamically based on the difficulty level you're starting at, or the tech level. Maybe put some randomization into it. But that are basically just ideas we're playing around with at the moment. So
Yeah, either of those, I think. Probably. Am I gonna get? No, I think you're fine. All right, so I'm gonna try to focus down this Providence, which they have 2 Providences and 3 Providence and at least the 1 Munificent.
that should be a win.
Unless I get shredded by buzz droids in about 3 seconds. Nope. Alright, go to this one. Just take out the hard points on the shields. So
talking
sorry.
about the talking about the hard points, was also discussed a bit about, for example, the Venator in canon. Its shield generator is not where it's currently in the mod, at the bridge, so but it's inside the ship, and we had ideas to make Republic at War, just like it is in canon. Remove completely the destructible hardpoint of the shield generator, and try out if that works out, if it's too easy or too hard to kill it. Then just basically we are rethinking of the hardpoint layout of the ships and try to make it a bit more like canon. I don't think we are going the I think it was Bob who did it in his mods. The chips are armed just as they are described in canon. So if a ship has 100 turbo lasers, in the mod the unit has 100 turbo lasers.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think that's something we want to do, but I think a mix between those
So,
cultures is
yeah,
something we want to try.
the big trade-off you have to make with that is obviously that you're generally giving up targetable hard points, which a lot of people like. But would that mean that with the shields, is that something that you'd be looking to do on more units, making them not targetable? I think that would definitely help with how strong bombers can be.
Yeah, that was also something we considered into the idea of making this. Those plans were just at the beginning, so exactly what we want to do there. so we're just kicking around some ideas
Choose your
and where
reinforcements.
things are going.
See if I can get anything out of that. There you
Yeah,
go.
the AI just moved ships badly, so
Oh, right. I was going to ask you. Oh, yes, I remember. So with something like a story campaign, would that be something where you start by continuing to make additional missions in the other GCs, like you have with Fall of the Jedi, and then that would eventually branch off when you have enough content into the story campaign, or is that something that you'd be starting basically from the get-go, oriented towards being the story campaign as early as possible?
Generally, we want to put all the story events that relate to the fall of the Jedi, or if you want to call it Rise of the Empire. We want to put that all into one GC. And
Retreat in
other
progress.
things we have planned are going into separate GCs, so people can choose whether they either want to play the Empire missions, Republic missions, or if they want to play something else. We also plan to bring back the interventions the vanilla game had. So you just get like a random small mission, get rewards for it. That's something that is disabled currently in Force of Corruption. Many mods have re-enabled it, and we want to do it as well, and of course adjust the events according to Clone Wars setting.
Building started.
So I'm gonna get my space casino here and promote gambling to all of our viewers. Let's go kill that other province.
Tactical battle imminent.
My Tech 2. Well, I'll get the heavy factory first, because we are really lacking in ground units.
Yes, we are.
Light Corvette standing by.
Choose your reinforcements.
The day won't come
Oh
when
no,
the
they have
droid
the station
army
now.
cannot fight us without a 10-to-1 advantage.
They won't run at us.
Yeah.
Okay, so I
Probably
think there's
only-
2 provinces in the station.
Corvette swinging into position.
Difficult.
We've got company.
We have been defeated.
Wow, that died before I even pressed pause. So something that came up a fair bit with previous releases
Changing course.
has been the way travel on the galactic map works, where sometimes the AI will be able to just bypass planets entirely in ways that players don't seem to be able to. Do you plan to remain with the vanilla style of movement where
Construction
that's
complete.
possible, or have you thought at all about moving towards the entirely node-based, like travel route-based version that a lot of mods use now?
Tactical battle imminent.
I'm not very sure of that yet. I personally never experienced a case where the AI pops out of somewhere it shouldn't do.
Fight us without a 10-to-1 advantage.
Yeah, I think with that, people are just underestimating how
Copy that.
how large the travel ranges are, but it can be a bit weird having like the core be mostly secure, and then because they have one planet that's within range, they can attack wherever they want. Is that
Well-
something?
Changing
What's
course.
what's a bit odd about the range in
Choose your
the vanilla game also is it seems like the range is not a perfect circle around something, but it's more like an ellipsis or something.
Changing course.
So you can try that out if you draw the units to one planet, which is equally distance from another one, you might experience that you cannot move to first planet, but you can move to the other planet, which are basically the same distance away. I think that's something. There's something wrong with the calculation of the distance, or it is intended and it just works a bit oddly in the game.
I think that's because
but-
of the camera angle, actually.
I read you, General.
Mm,
Give me a target.
I tried. I tried to replicate this a bit with the just with the planet settings and have just distances from each other. I was aware of how much it was, and I could partly duplicate this effect. So I'm not very sure what's happening there. But to come back to your question, I think we remain the way it is now. We tried to add the trade routes based on Canaan, so we have the Corellian run include and the gosh, how would they name it? Hadian Way.
Hiding Way, Prelemian Trade Spine, such
yeah.
great names for all of these.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yes. And you can see some of the in code. I think they are named uncanon trade routes, and those are just trade routes you need to have in order to
Just to get
move
around it
to
all. Yeah.
yes to get around it all, and to have something some sort of balancement. So it would be kind of unfair to access to enter one planet just by one direction. So we added a second one. So you have a bit more of dynamic.
Right. Something that's been coming up in the chat a little bit since we started is buzz droids. Has anything been done since the last version to them, or is that something that you have any plans to change at all, or?
Damage was definitely reduced the best droids. And I think we also removed some target types of the best droids, so they don't affect some minor ships. So
Okay.
that's definitely more advantage for the Republic now.
Right, that's good. Yeah, because before they could shred a lot of stuff, so that's good. Looks like we are going to be able to get Kuat back here, at least in space. And actually, I'll send in some of the Jedi and see what they can do, because that was another thing that I think you were working on changing a bit too, was the survivability at the very least of the Jedi.
Yeah, that was also a huge problem. I think you made me look at this a bit closer because we noticed the Jedis, or generally speaking, the lightsaber holders were just
Invincible.
invincible, basically. Yes.
I remember in one of the playthroughs I did, I ended up just grabbing either Dooku or Anakin or something, and any turbo laser, I'd just send them at it, and then they wouldn't take any damage, and they'd all, like, the shots they'd reflect would take out the turbo laser.
Construction complete.
And they'd absorb a lot of infantry damage too. So they ended up being like, Jedi should be strong, but they were able to kill pretty much the entire planets alone.
Yeah, it was something I tried to do. I put the stats based on the actual skill of the Jedi. So Anakin was obviously the strongest of all, and then I think Mace Windu came second, and Dooku something like that. And I think I just went a bit over with the stats I gave the units. So we fixed that.
Alright, let's send Anakin in alone and see
We lost a build pad.
We've got the skill.
what he does.
We must solve the mystery of the Sith. We
I'll have some friends for him to cheer him on, but they'll stand back. So do they still use the normal attacks, or did you move towards the
fun begins.
the special attacks. It looks like he's still regular melee.
Yes, we talked about that. I can remember, but that's also something we add. Yeah, this update.
Okay. So that is something that
Also-
you are thinking about doing, or
That's something we will do actually. Same with the normal infantry that they can shoot while walking. That's also something which feels
yeah,
quite
that
necessary.
really does improve ground
Yes.
battles, especially with heroes, just because they have to walk up to something, stop, attack.
Yes, attack animation.
Yeah, and
Quite
I think that's part
slow.
of where
Yes.
some of the additional health and everything has to come from, just because they have to be able to survive to get up to anything and do anything. When you have those changes, it's a bit easier to do the nerfs to their health. 'Cause I'm starting to see some definite damage on Anakin and them that I wasn't seeing before, so that's definitely
Yes.
in a much better place, it seems like. Alright. Let's get
Well, the
Anakin to
real
kill the
pro-
vehicles, and these guys can kill the building. Sorry?
Easy job for him. So the real issue really was the way how they absorbed the damage. It was not about the cell feel. Basically, did not change that at all because it's fine as it is right
Yeah.
now. But they were just not. They didn't take any damage from blasted lasers, so that's the main issue.
Yeah, so just with the AAT shooting at them, and even this squad shooting at Yoda, you can definitely see a pretty big difference there. Because right now they're not fighting anything that I think would be able to kill them, but I assume if like
Right. If you have a couple of hellfires,
yeah.
they
If an
do get
ATT
him.
shoots Dooku in the face, he'll probably take a bit more damage than he did before, which is...
Never take your focus off.
Alright, so we'll get the moral victory of reclaiming Kuat here, and then I think we'll move over and take a look at the CIS.
Army would be nothing without superior numbers.
Isn't it on AOT? Actually, Josh, that's a base game function that exists in most mods, and it's kind of necessary for a lot of melee units to function in any reasonable way.
I'm spending
It's just that the values can be very difficult to get right, because you have to have something that makes sense for them to be able to effectively deflect or absorb the blasters. But it's easy to get into a range where they're healing or deflecting more than they're actually taking in, so they become functionally invulnerable, even if on paper their base stats don't seem like they're that off.
I don't
So that's mostly what we're talking about there.
insist.
Yeah. So that was basically just my mistake. I just
If you insist.
looked at the paper and saw the stats and adjust them how they feel correctly to canon, and never really tested it through. So lessons learned. You need to go into the game and really play some games and try it out.
Okay, so that is... I think we're going to leave the Republic one. So I'm going to end the recording here. If you're watching on YouTube later this week, we're going to have the Confederacy going up. So I'm assuming I'm going to put this up tomorrow, which is Monday, and then the CIS one probably on Friday. So thank you for watching, everyone on YouTube. Thank you for joining me, Anakin, and we're going to continue on stream where people don't understand the magic of television that allows this to happen. Ooh.
Ooh.